Thank you. Sorry, it is yeah, 4 a.m. here. It was a pleasure to I'm just oh, where is my oh, there we go. It is a pleasure. It was a pleasure to set my alarm at 12:30 a.m. To join you all. Um, so I would like to thank you all for being here from all over the world in your different time zones as well. Thank you to the World Hope Forum for hosting this event and for Monica for inviting me to contribute. It feels like forever ago that we were together in Colombia, but it was only a week ago. Um, so my name is Nicole Crouch and I'm joining you from Sydney. I would like to acknowledge the Darkinjung people and their elders, past, present, and emerging, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work. This land has long been a place of teaching, learning, sustainability, creativity, and I acknowledge all Indigenous peoples, ethnic groups, and local communities internationally. And I acknowledge my position as a colonial Australian, which means I have a responsibility to actively engage with cultural sustainability strategies. I'm going to start with a life experience story that might resonate with some of you. It is that feeling of that moment where you realize you are part of some kind of systemic problem, but you hadn't seen it until a particular moment triggered it. And you are confused as to how you had been unaware, and what to do about it now that you can see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Um, but being part of that systemic problem, you also realize that you have a responsibility and an opportunity to be part of a solution by educating yourself, to use your knowledge and skills to make changes to those systems that you operate within. So you feel this tension between guilt of current practices and hope for future practices. It can be quite uncomfortable, but it is the transformational growth that is required for aligning our practices with our values. So the moment of having this realization can be quite overwhelming to understand what to do, who to turn to, what questions to ask, how to learn more, and how to take action, especially when the people around you in those systems that you are questioning don't often see what you see. So the safe space that you might be looking for, if you're experiencing this feeling as well, is what Monica, Shravani, and myself at CIPRI have facilitated at the Cultural Sustainability Academy, the Knowledge Hub for Cultural Sustainability, or the CSA, which is hosted in Transylvania, Romania. It is not a space with commercial agendas to learn how to integrate craft into hierarchical supply chains. It's a space to learn how to really listen to the perspectives of the custodians of a diversity of knowledge systems and become an ally that has been spoken about throughout these presentations. So learning about different knowledge systems is a really nourishing way to holistically expand your mind, develop your worldviews, heal from those systems, and find a deeper purpose in life. And creating allyships with knowledge custodians is how to develop mutually beneficial partnerships that transforms the systems that guide the way we live and practice. So the CSA is a space to navigate your journey, no matter where you come from, what stage you're at, with like-minded people in a nourishing and supportive environment. So for me personally, my journey started as a commercial textile print designer in the fashion industry, which you might be aware is creating the digital repeating patterns for mass-produced clothing. It was a privilege to be creating artworks as a full-time living, and the industry was really thriving. So after practicing as a designer immersed in that fashion industry world for about 5 years, I was asked to share my skills with students at university. So I was used to working with people who understood how the fashion system worked. So in this new context at university, I had to break down and articulate my design practice in a way that I hadn't done before. So doing this made me realize that I was inspired by and extracting from the expressions and knowledge systems of Indigenous peoples, ethnic groups, and local communities internationally. And I'd never seen it this way before because the industry is set up that way by design and does not create space for this deep thinking and reflecting upon practices. So what Tara was talking about earlier with the Omar textiles being digitally copied, that is the type of brief that I could have received to execute. So I questioned why industry practices worked this way and how the industry facilitated an unawareness of my own actions that didn't align with my values. I wondered how I could go beyond simply avoiding cultural misappropriation to actively engaging with cultural sustainability strategies, as cultural misappropriation is not a design issue, it's an ontological issue of how to be in the world. So I also sat in the discomfort of realizing the impact of my colonial heritage in Australia, which made it also more personal as well as professional. So the pandemic lockdown was hitting, everything was uncertain. So I suddenly had the time and the curiosity to do some research. So I looked at it from all the perspectives that were available to me, including the history of fashion, philosophies of being in the world, how to become a change maker, and many more. So there wasn't really a clear path for me to take to address what I was seeing and how I was feeling. So due to my value of traditional textile craftsmanship, I came across the Cultural Intellectual Property Rights Initiative on Instagram quite early on in this journey. I followed the work and the talks as I was sitting at home mindlessly designing. And I was so inspired, I decided to reach out to Monica. I couldn't really see exactly what I could offer at this stage, but I was curious and passionate about educating myself and like forming supportive allies. So the legal system was something that I didn't know much about, but learning about the systems that govern us, the gaps in those systems, and the intersections between law, fashion, cultural heritage, and biocultural diversity was such an insightful perspective through which to look at my design practice. So after 2 years of balancing full-time design work, teaching design at university, and working with CIPRI on projects to develop my knowledge of cultural sustainability, it came to a tipping point where I decided to find a way to shift the balance and focus more of my energy on what aligned with my values. So it was suggested by my colleagues at uni to apply for a PhD to continue exploring cultural sustainability in design further. This was really scary leap for me because I grew up in an environment that prioritized a stable job rather than following your passions and your intuition. But I took the leap in February 2022 and never looked back. So of course, academia presents its own systemic issues, but navigating them has taught me a lot. That has really added to my knowledge and perspective to help me engage with cultural sustainability strategies even further. The research that I'm doing there aims to rewrite the commercial textile print design process in the fashion industry to be culturally sustainable using CIPRI's 3Cs rule of consent credit compensation rather than extracting aesthetics from Indigenous peoples, ethnic groups, and local communities internationally for commercial gain. So this research does not aim to speak on behalf of communities, but take responsibility as an industry designer for a rights-based approach to respecting a diversity of knowledge systems. the work happening on the ground by custodian communities that we've seen in these presentations is the deep work. However, when I walk into the industry to design, it feels like another completely disconnected world. And so I really experienced that tension and that gap. And as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities in Australia have stated, we need our non-Indigenous allies to stand in solidarity with us for systemic change, which is the potential that I see for my design colleagues. And I hope to spark and awaken that in them in a caring and inspiring way, rather than them acting defensive when practices are challenged. So this is my specific journey and accountability based on my knowledge and skills and heritage. But it's clear that there is an opportunity and a responsibility for everyone to engage with supporting cultural sustainability strategies. And the CSA supports you to see your skills and knowledge and passions to be able to navigate your own path with cultural sustainability strategies. And this is done in a number of ways. I'll go through a couple. So firstly, our opening ceremony day is a day to really get to know each other and build relationships personally and professionally. We not only go through where we are from and what we do, but what fills and empties our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual buckets, our intentions at the CSA, and deeper ways to understand each other so we can provide each other with the most support. At the CSA, we also challenge the knowledge systems that inform the current practices that you want to change by learning about the dimensions of the cultural sustainability matrix, which Monica mentioned earlier, is a paradigm of 4 intersectional dimensions that frames the knowledge systems of Indigenous peoples, ethnic groups, and local communities internationally. Their interconnectedness, where everything is intertwined and in communion with each other, interdependence or reciprocity, where everything is reliant on each other, and kin, which is our human and non-human relatives, communities, and ancestors, and care, where we really nurture beyond design decisions and capitalism. So thinking from these principles rather than industry-led knowledge shifts our mindset from, is this decision answering the brief and profitable, to, is this decision human? So from this foundation, we explore 5 knowledge pillars. They are craftsmanship and craft innovation, research and academia, design and technology, law and cultural heritage, and activism and communication. So super briefly, in craftsmanship and craft innovation, we look at the spectrum of what craft might mean to all of us and how craft is a knowledge system that is nurtured by custodians whose rights are supported by the cultural intellectual property rights framework. In research and academia, we explore the methodologies of craft custodians as valuable approaches to creating, expressing, and sustaining knowledge systems. In design and technology, we reframe mainstream conceptions of what design, of what design and technology mean in alignment with the cultural sustainability matrix. In law and cultural heritage, we look at cultural intellectual property rights as custodianship rights and human rights that guides the implementation of cultural sustainability strategies. In activism and communication, we lean into the discomfort of challenging our own knowledge systems and learn how to do things together rather than theorize apart. We explore all of these concepts and many more through a spectrum of experiences, including deep conversations with each other and with craft custodians, through field trips, through activities, through readings, and casual social conversations while sharing locally produced food and wine. The purpose of the CSA is not to validate a collection of buzzwords like mending and circularity, although these concepts are really important and have their place. The CSA is deeply focused specifically on cultural sustainability as a rights-based approach, listening to the perspectives of knowledge custodians and shifting our worldviews to a plurality of knowledge systems that can coexist harmoniously without one dominating the other. So the CSA isn't about gathering information, but developing knowledge and wisdom that transforms you and the way you live professionally and personally. And it is a space that inspires hope for the future. So for me personally, having a commercial design background, what I get out of being at the CSA most is learning about other people's methodologies and the ontologies behind them. So I have my methodical ways of working, no matter what other things are going on in my mind and my life, I know I can draw an artwork and design a print. I don't have to offset it to make sure it flows. I know intuitively how to make it flow. And what I learned working with Why We Craft custodian, Miss Elena here, was how she also has her own intuition with her practice. We don't speak the same language, but we communicate through our practice. And for me, learning through practice is how I learn about and really understand the knowledge systems and worldviews of Indigenous peoples, ethnic groups, and local communities. So everyone learns and evolves differently, but I can assure you, if I can do it, then immersing in the CSA will complement your learning style as well, and enable you to experience that really impactful transformation. So on Monday, the 2nd of December, we are releasing the 2024 CSA Reflections Report with more information about what happened at the 2024 CSA. So if you would like to receive this report and more information, Shravani is going to put the link in the chat now for you to be able to sign up for that report. Also, if you would like to express your interest to join us in 2025, we are running the CSA again from the 16th until the 24th of August in Transylvania, Romania. So Shravani will also put that link to the appropriate page in the chat now, where you're able to express your interest and reach out to us. So thank you all for your attention. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you all, hearing your stories and continuing the conversation at the CSA. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Very wonderful to learn how you manage this change in your life.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being up at this ungodly hour to be with us. It's
I'm still a little bit on Colombia time, so I just tried to channel staying on Colombia time. So luckily it's summer here in Australia. The sun's been rising at 5:30, so I've been up at the gym before the sunrise, seeing the sunrise, and being at work at 7 a.m. So I just, kept it going. So maybe it's a good habit to keep.
Well, it's important to be live with us so we can all feel that we're all present together. So that's really what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you.